Ann Coulter, who I'm absolutely no fan of, went on Bill Maher, and she got it right.
I mean, we don't know who did this shooting, by the way, the Super Bowl shooting.
We have some idea.
What?
If it were a white man shooting, we'd know.
Well, we don't know. But
that's how we know it's not a white man. I can tell you that much.
Do you think they were repressing that reporting?
They wouldn't tell us about the transgender woman that shot up the Christian school for what, like a year? San Bernardino out here. Remember the crazy terrorist Muslims? That's when I first noticed, they're not telling us who it is. It's not a white male. The longer they go without telling you, it's not a white male.
Okay, well, we don't, for this one, for right now, as of Friday night, February 16th.
We know.
We don't officially know. Okay, you have special powers. But
the media who do not care about blacks killing blacks, and this is the one time where I think, you always hear, pretty white girl, they'll cover that. No, the blacks killing blacks will not get covered by the media. That's a huge media problem, and you'll all laugh at me, but I'm going to say it because I'm right.
Very right.
Because of this
right.
is illegitimacy. All of these young men do not have fathers, and that is a huge, huge source of it. Anything that could be done to reduce the illegitimacy rate, particularly among the black community, it would be astronomical, the changes you'd see. Do you know, just one fact, if you take away the factor of illegitimacy, the difference in the black and the white crime rate disappears.
Well, Bill, apparently she does have superpowers. We're going to talk about that today on the Afternoon Drive.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty, and this is the Afternoon Drive. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That'll give you notification of my rants, my ravings, and my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. That's the only way we can get the word out that we're here. YouTube isn't going to do it for us. Thank you for watching the Afternoon Drive. Van Jones sitting there shaking his head like, this woman's crazy. Bill Maher trying to lampoon her, make fun of her. Oh, apparently this is your superpower, knowing who these people are. Yeah, actually we do, Bill. And I think you do too, because you can't possibly, getting to the place and the level of achievement that you have in this life, be this stupid. Well, then again, you do support Gavin Newsom, so maybe I need to rethink that. Maybe you really are this stupid. I know you suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, but I did think that you were still capable of, looking at facts and evidence and coming up with correct conclusions. But maybe not. Maybe I'm giving you way too much credit. Ann Coulter made the case. Look, if these were a couple of white guys, especially if they were conservative and on the Christian right, their faces would have been everywhere. We were told by the media we can't post their pictures because they're juveniles, they're underage. Really? Did that stop them from posting the picture of, what was the young man, Kyle? Remember? He had gone into a state he didn't even live in with a weapon to shoot people. No. He went to where his dad lived and where he kept the weapon, and he was out on the streets helping people. And then we were told, that he was out there shooting black people, and we find out, no, he actually shot white people who were trying to kill him. Kyle Rittenhouse. Knew that name would come to me. We saw his face. He got doxxed. They put out his address. Life was miserable for him. And even though he was exonerated and set free by a jury of his peers, there are educational institutions, etc., which refused him enrollment. News media outlets absolutely destroyed his life. And then finally, we got the names of who did the shooting at the Kansas City Super Bowl victory parade. And as soon as you saw the names, I'm sorry again, not being prejudicial, just making an educated, astute observation, you knew that these guys weren't white and from Utah when you read their names. And then finally we got to see what they look like. Yeah, they really look like they belong in the church choir, right? Ann Coulter got it right. What is it that in this society today we can't handle people just stating the facts? Look, the media has a bias, and especially when it comes to gun violence. We know they work hand in hand with the Democrats, with the liberals who want to deny you your Second Amendment rights. And so every time there is a shooting, it automatically has to be this stereotypical, they've already got it scripted out. And of course, we know that there are members of the intel community that help them with this, because magically we see Facebook pages and we're told about this person has had a history of extreme views, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yet he was given access to weapons, and this is why law-abiding people can't keep their weapons either. It's a narrative. It's a story they love to tell. They love to do this as a way of instilling fear into the population, that they demand their safety, which means the forfeiture of their rights. And so whenever it doesn't fit the narrative, the transgendered individual that shot up the Christian school, whenever it's somebody from the left who goes into a Walmart on a shooting spree because it's loaded with people they don't like, there's a media blackout on it. Look at what happened at Joel Osteen's church. Once they found out the shooter was transgender and they're in support of Palestine, it was like it didn't happen. No more mention of it. No more talking about it. But had it been a white person in there shooting up the place because they didn't think they were standing strong enough for Israel, the media would have been nonstop talking about it. And that was what Ann Coulter was pointing out, the reverse racism. It's that taboo subject nobody, even most conservatives, don't want to talk about. That it is perfectly acceptable now in this society under CRT and the other ideologies to be prejudiced against white conservative males, tell all the jokes you want, make all the storylines you want, demean them in any way possible in movies and TV shows and plot lines. That's perfectly okay. Get rid of those MAGA guys. And all Ann Coulter did was say the quiet part out loud. They laughed at her, but in reality, she was right.
And like I said, I find myself agreeing with a lot that Bill Maher has to say.
What did you say?
And like I said, I find myself agreeing with a lot that Bill Maher has to say.
That's what I thought you said.
And like I said, I find myself agreeing with a lot that Bill Maher has to say.
Sell crazy someplace else. We're all stocked up here.
You know, there was a time years ago when Republicans and Democrats, they got along pretty well. You didn't have all this divisiveness, this hatred, this stuff that's going on now. It's terrible. And you know what? I blame leadership for that. Starts at the top, trickles down to everybody, and it causes this severe divisiveness that's no good for the country. And by the way, I hold Trump responsible for that. I hold the Democrats responsible for that. They just don't act the right way, and they're not a good example for the people when it comes to unification, unity. They're very divisive, and I don't like that.
Bill Maher, so disingenuous. So what a cuck for the Democrats he really is. I mean, on the one hand, he says it shouldn't be Biden, but his Trump derangement syndrome, he talks about Donald Trump wanting to bring fascism to the country. No, that's happening under the Democrats, Bill. Michael Franzese, who was a one-time mafia boss with the Colombo crime family, went to prison, became a born-again Christian. He's got his own YouTube channel. I watch a lot of his stuff. I really enjoy Mob Movie Monday. And he has conservative political leanings, and he's been on everybody's podcast from Patrick Bet-David, etc. But the other day, he wanted to talk about something that he thought that Bill Maher got right in one of his monologues. And he said, I don't agree with Bill Maher on everything, but, there's a lot of things I find him saying that I really do agree with. Well, then, Michael, you may have found Jesus. Now you need to find truth. I'm sorry. Michael, I like you. And as a brother in Christ, let me help you out here. Bill Maher is nothing but an atheistic shill for the left, period. And it isn't just a case of you guys might see differently on a couple of issues. No. To his very core, Bill Maher is right down to our inalienable rights that we have enshrined from our Constitution because they were given to us by our Creator, as the writers and the framers of our government rightly stated, is Bill Maher that said, no. It was liberals informing the government who enshrined those rights. So you don't have a lot in common with him, Mike. But you said something that, the left and the right have got to learn to talk, and where there's got to be some civility and bring the country together, yada, 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 yada. And on that, I agree with you. Where you were wrong, and you took a shot at Donald Trump saying, now we got a lot of lack of civility going on and just on the attack, and Donald Trump is part of that, and some Democrats are part of that. No. Your buddy Bill Maher is part of that. Democrats are a part of that. Donald Trump is a result of what the Democrats actually started. You talk about that when, you were, coming up, 60s, 70s, in 80s there was political disagreement, but for the most part, everybody was civil. Really? Really? Do I need to give you a history lesson here, Michael? Let's take it back to Nixon running for president against John F. Kennedy. Wasn't it guys from your tribe, i.e. the mafia, that gave Illinois to John Fitzgerald Kennedy because dead people voted? Isn't that something that the mafia helped JFK get the White House because they wanted certain things in return, and what they got was an attorney general in Bobby Kennedy who made their lives absolutely miserable? Yeah. What about, you talk about civility, was that when President Johnson was accusing his opponent, conservative Republican Barry Goldwater, of wanting to start nuclear war? When Richard Nixon made it to the presidency and the Democrats found out about Watergate, wanted to impeach him, wanted to jail him, was that civility? When extreme leftists within the Democratic Party, even in the 1970s, were platforming and campaigning on abortion on demand. What was that? Was that civility, Mike? I missed something. When Ronald Reagan became president and you had Ted Kennedy and other Democrats in open communication with the Kremlin saying, look, this guy that's now our president, please don't start a nuclear war with us because he does something stupid. That's treasonous. And they hated Ronald Reagan. You know that, right? Hated Ronald Reagan. Did everything they could to obfuscate and obstruct and attack Ronald Reagan and Reagan conservatives. Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, talking about vast right-wing conspiracies when she was, Bill's wife, first lady. Sorry, hairball. When she was first lady. And then talking about the basket of deplorables. That would be us. Joe Biden, who gives speeches behind black and red lights. He talks about you MAGA people. You MAGA extremists. It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. You Donald Trump is the problem? No, what you seem to misunderstand about politics in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, etc., was that the Republicans didn't really plan on winning. They were content to let the Democrats run things just as long as they could have a few of their political seats, their power, and their money. And they would pretend to be in opposition, but in reality, we knew that when the interviews were over and the crossfire was done on CNN, that these guys all went to the same cocktail parties together. They all had their hands out to the same donors. They were there to do the beck and call. They're both involved in crony capitalism. We understood that. It was the Ronald Reagans who came in and were the counter to that. It was the Donald Trumps who came in to counter that. And you, Michael, ought to understand and appreciate the value of strong leaders have to sometimes come in and do that so many things are broken and so many things are off kilter that it takes a strong leader who doesn't give a flying flip what people think or say about him to just come in and do what needs to be done. And that's what Donald Trump did and will do again. So, Michael Franzese, I'm disappointed in you, brother. Disappointed in you. But I'll keep watching your channel and praying for you to come all the way into the light.